What's up, dear viewers of the tube? My name is Mark and welcome back to my channel. In this video we'll talk about amazing benefits of vitamin C megadosing, and although I will mostly talk about vitamin C megadosing for opiate withdrawals and opiate detox, I will also include the list of all of the other things that vitamin C could be used for, all other conditions and health problems that people might be going through. So if you are interested in learning more, feel free to visit the links in the description. Maybe you can learn something new, or maybe share with your friends and hopefully change someone's life. So I already recorded and uploaded a video about vitamin C megadosing for opiate withdrawals and opiate detox about a year ago. I personally don't like that video. I think it's a little bit unprofessional, a little childish, very short, and people ask a lot of questions, which means that it wasn't detailed enough. If you really want to watch that video, feel free to watch it, but I think this particular video will be the best video on YouTube that talks about vitamin C megadosing strategies. And obviously, as a disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a pharmacist, and this video is not a medical advice. I also want to say that vitamin C megadosing strategy is not to be confused with dealing with addiction. This strategy is strictly to be used for withdrawals. In other words, the most acute part of your withdrawals, which is about first 7 days, give or take. You might want to consult with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. You will definitely need other tools to be a part of your recovery process. Keep that in mind. So like I said, I already uploaded a video about vitamin C megadosing about a year ago. Video actually surprisingly received some love from my viewers. You got a lot of views, relatively speaking, and some likes, some comments, and I know that vitamin C megadosing does work. I'm not crazy when I talk about vitamin C benefits. And you could definitely feel free to read the comments. As a matter of fact, I will try to leave you some of the comments here on the screen so you know that you are not wasting your time right now. This is not a medical advice. However, numerous studies and trials and people actually experimented with vitamin C megadosing and had amazing results. I personally have my experience with vitamin C, that I even posted a video about vitamin C megadosing on YouTube. It was right when COVID started. It was right before COVID started, actually. I made the video where I talk about how can I protect myself and my family from COVID, and I included credible sources that talk about how vitamin C megadosing can actually help to prevent flu and viruses. And I even included an actual study that was done by a Chinese doctor that was using vitamin C megadosing IV to see if it helps to fight the coronavirus, and his results were actually amazing, even though it was very early in the study. But patients or people, whatever, responded very positively to this study, and he had a lot of success. When I wanted to talk about it and leave a link, unfortunately YouTube banned my video, and the reason why I got banned from YouTube is something that we're going to talk about at the end of the video. So let's talk about what is vitamin C in simple terms. Vitamin C is also known as L-ascorbic acid, is a water-soluble vitamin. Unlike most mammals and other animals, humans do not have the ability to synthesize vitamin C, and it must be obtained from the diet. And like I said, I'm not going to go into deep detail about what is vitamin C and how it may help us on many different levels. I will definitely leave you links down in the description. You can definitely do your research, and I'm pretty sure you will love information that I will share with you. But in a nutshell, it is an antioxidant. It definitely helps you remove all toxins and free radicals from your body. Vitamin C supplementation may help with hypertension, with the coronary heart disease, cardiovascular diseases, with cancer. At first, it was considered that vitamin C megadosing and vitamin C supplementation will help with cancer, but then later on they did research and they learned that vitamin C supplementation actually helps with radiotherapy and certain chemotherapy treatments. It basically makes them more effective. Also, it helps you with skin conditions, with many different skin conditions, and it's been really popular now lately that people talk about vitamin C for to make their skin look better, younger, and healthier. Some people actually say that it is a great anti-aging supplement because it does help your skin cells to regrow and not to die out. It also helps with Alzheimer's disease, with cataracts, with gout. I'm not even sure what those are. With sepsis and septic shock, they were using vitamin C in larger amounts. Obviously, we talked about it, and we all know that vitamin C is great when it comes to dealing with the common cold and flus. I personally have a lot of experience with vitamin C megadosing when it comes to preventing viruses and colds and flus. It is an overall great immune system booster, and doctors have been telling us about vitamin C, but unfortunately they do not inform us that vitamin C in low amounts may not be as important. Also, I've learned that it helps with asthma, but the way it works with asthma is it reduces inflammation. I also can attest from my own experience that it does help with allergies. Also, lead toxicity. Studies were done to show that vitamin C does help with lead toxicity. And of course, alcohol withdrawal syndrome and opiate withdrawal syndrome are something that we're going to talk about a lot in this video. Again, all the links will be in the description. Feel free to research them if you are interested. Let's move on. At first, it wasn't really known how vitamin C works, but then they kind of came up with the conclusion that vitamin C in larger doses mimics morphine somehow, and it occupies your opiate receptors. So how much vitamin C should you take and how do you take it? The best way to do it is, that's just my opinion, the best way to do it, especially if you have never taken vitamin C in large amounts, is to slowly get your body acclimated to vitamin C. In other words, 2 or 3 or 4 days before you decide to get off your drug of choice, whether it's heroin or oxycodone or even Suboxone, 3 or 4 or 5, the more days the better, obviously. Start taking vitamin C in increasing amounts. In other words, today you might want to take 5 grams, tomorrow you might want to take 6 grams, then 7, then 8. Try to get to at least 10 grams per day before you actually get onto megadosing. And a lot of people are skeptical about this whole megadosing thing. Like, why would I take so much vitamin C? Why would I take so many grams of vitamin C? And it's so paradoxical that people are paranoid to take 10 or 20 or 30 grams of vitamin C, but they have no issues taking 200 milligrams of oxycodone or 2 grams of heroin, which is you will unfortunately not absorb majority of your vitamin C that you're gonna ingest. So that's why you gotta take a lot more than daily recommended dose. So once you kind of get to your quit date, start taking vitamin C in 5 to 6 grams increments. Or if you're not feeling okay after about an hour, by all means take a little bit more and take more. Again, do not be afraid of taking vitamin C. Some people are saying that vitamin C will burn your stomach, is gonna cause ulcer, or is gonna cause diarrhea, whatnot. It is true about diarrhea because it is an antioxidant, so it might cause some stomach upsets here and there, but again, it's nothing crazy, especially for those of you that are heavy opiate users. You might agree with me that you probably are constipated most of the time. I believe a little cleanse will only benefit us here, right? Some are also afraid of having kidney stones or destroying their liver or other organs. But keep in mind, you are not going to be using vitamin C in such large amounts for the rest of your life. I believe using vitamin C daily is a great idea. However, don't expect to be using vitamin C in large amounts forever. 1, maybe 2 weeks the most. You're only doing it to deal with the most acute stage of the withdrawals. If you're uncomfortable with your diarrhea, take a few loperamides or Imodium pills. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do not go crazy, do not take 10 or 20, but take a couple of pills, every 6-7 hours. Again, no medical advice, it's your choice, your decision, it's your life. Again, I personally don't know anyone who took more than 40 grams of vitamin C per day. But I read studies that they've used up to 80 vitamin C ascorbic acid. Now let's talk about this whole ascorbic acid thing. In my first video, I talked about that if you want to megadose, do not use ascorbic acid. And I still believe that ascorbic acid should not be used excessively with vitamin C megadosing, especially the cheap generic stuff you get in the Walgreens, for example, or CVS. I personally recommend using liposomal vitamin C. The reason why liposomal is better, in my opinion, is because it has a highest absorption rate. So you absorb most of it, which means you don't need to take as much perhaps. But again, there's a lot of crappy quality liposomal vitamin C on the market, and they claim to be liposomal, but not really liposomal. I try not to save money on vitamin C, especially with this COVID stuff that's going on. I easily take 4 to 5 grams per day, sometimes more when I feel like I'm under the weather or I feel like I have inflammation. I wanted to really modify this whole liposomal thing because you don't always get good quality liposomal vitamin C, especially now with COVID, because prices just skyrocketed and you can't always find, even if you want to pay the high price, you cannot always find good quality liposomal vitamin C. In my opinion, your best option would be to use a combination of different vitamin C types. So in other words, you might want to, let's say you take in 20 grams of vitamin C per day, right? For detox, for withdrawal remedy. I would use 5 grams of ascorbic acid, 5 grams of sodium ascorbate, which is another great alternative to ascorbic acid, and also use liposomal, 10 grams, whatever. If you're using 20 grams a day, I'm talking about. You could mix match it. It's not written in stone. There's no particular guideline. I'm just giving you an example. And the reason why you don't want to do too much of sodium ascorbate, because sodium ascorbate is salt, basically. It's vitamin C derived from salt. And we know that salt has been getting a lot of bad rap in the media, and doctors talk negatively about salt, how we shouldn't be consuming so much salt, blah blah blah. So if you're gonna take vitamin C sodium ascorbate, you don't want to take that much. Don't forget, we're not trying to take vitamin C for the rest of our lives. This is something for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and it's ideal to increase your dose up to day 4, and then once day 4 hits, decreasing your dose aggressively, because again, your withdrawals will most likely be at peak on day 4, maybe day 3. So again, for example, someone I know was taking 20 grams day 1, 25 grams day 2, 30 or 40 grams day 3, 40 grams day 4, and then on day 5 and 6 and 7 he gradually and aggressively reduced vitamin C consumption, and then it basically take it as needed. Again, vitamin C is not Suboxone. It doesn't have this long half-life, or it will not really give you any negative side effects unless you have health conditions that you might need to speak to a doctor about it. Try not to take too much of anything. In addition to vitamin C megadosing, it is ideal to use some other supplements that will help you with other symptoms. I personally know that DLPA is something fantastic for opiate detox and opiate withdrawals, not just the acute stage, but also post-acute withdrawal syndrome, also known as PAWS. In addition, you probably know that L-tyrosine, L-theanine, magnesium, calcium, potassium, zinc, all of those other supplements and minerals and vitamins are amazing. According to one of my subscribers and or viewers, she actually posted a very important thing about vitamin C megadosing. She also said that you must take a lot of protein if you want to include a very high protein diet, or you might want to take protein powder and make a shake out of it. But it is very crucially important to include protein, because we do go through a lot of biological changes when we go through opiate withdrawal or opiate detox. In addition, Anna, who is a viewer of that original video and commenter of that video, Anna also recommends to use good quality liquid amino acids. Good quality liquid amino acids in conjunction with good quality protein will be instrumental in helping you achieve all of your goals when it comes to opiate withdrawal and detox. Alright guys, so we covered what is vitamin C briefly and how it works. We talked about how to use vitamin C for opiate withdrawals. We also briefly covered what other things vitamin C could be used for, what other conditions could it be used for. And now let's talk about why doesn't your doctor talk to you about it? Why doesn't BigPharma talk about it? Why YouTube bans videos where people discuss magical or miraculous benefits of vitamin C? And I believe that the answer is so simple that it's actually disgusting. Disgusting. And the reason is BigPharma. If you look at these charts that I'm about to post right here, so I don't know if you notice anything, but this chart shows you the amount of money that big pharma companies, top 7 big pharma companies, spent on lobbying. In other words, lobbying is actually legal. It's almost a legal way of bribing. This graph shows you that big pharma was basically sponsoring the government, the FDA, during these years. And now look at this chart right here. This chart shows you opiate prescriptions year after year. And maybe it's a coincidence, maybe I am crazy, but it does look like when big pharma spent most amount of money on lobbying, that's when doctors were prescribing the most amount of prescriptions for opiates, and that's when the peak of the epidemic took place. It could be a coincidence, guys. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Maybe I'm just paranoid. I look at numbers, I look at charts, graphs. I'm a numbers guy. So when I see numbers like these, it kind of tells me something that I don't want to know. It tells me that Big Pharma had everything to do with this opiate epidemic. And I know those people that never used opiates will say, oh, it's all garbage. You gotta be strong, and it's not the doctor's fault. It's not Big Pharma's fault. It is absolutely Big Pharma's fault. Bribing doctors, sponsoring medical students in medical schools so they can brainwash us and prescribe medications that we don't need, and forcing those pills on us. And that's not Big Pharma's fault. And I will show you some clips that will hopefully open your eyes on what really is going on. And when doctors tell you, yeah, take this pill, you'll feel better, not only you're gonna feel no pain, but also you're gonna feel happier. And it's not something illegal. We didn't buy it from the dealer. And they also said,
oh, come on, it's not addictive.
So yeah, when we get something and we get it from a doctor, not from the dealer, as an innocent person who is not even trying to do something illegal or sketchy, you think that you're doing something right. You are taking this because doctor told you. I know people that were prescribed 120 oxycodone pills for shoulder pain. I think it was shoulder pain. But also, I want you to look at this short video. I actually will cut some pieces out so to make it shorter for you, but I want you to hear this doctor out and hear what he has to say. Watch it. This actually is from the interview of my favorite guy on YouTube, my protege that I really respect, this guy, Patrick Bet-David. He interviewed this doctor who actually spoke the truth. So yeah, have a listen.
Makes you think, I mean, this is your world. I'm just curious and I'm being skeptical because that's the way I am. Is it lack of advancement? Is it we just don't want to change? This is how we've been doing it and take our order and give this treatment because this is what works? Or is it Big Pharma behind closed doors doesn't want these treatments to stop because it's pretty profitable?
Unfortunately, I think the answer is the last one. I think it's very profitable. So there's a ton of ways that doctors are influenced to prescribe more medications, even when it's marginally useful. And if you ever speak to a doctor, everything is very familiar. So, you see you have these drug reps which will come in and they'll take you to dinner, right? Fancy dinner. And they're not supposed to. There's actually guidelines on this, for example. And this is all through medical school. And it happens that, I could go to dinner at a fancy restaurant literally 5 times a week if I wanted to. The problem is that level of corruption moves all the way up. So then the next thing they do is you get offered a role as a paid speaker. So what they'll do is they'll give me an opportunity to give a talk for other doctors, and they'll pay me. And again, I don't do this, but I could do this if I wanted to. Pay me $1,500 for a couple of hours to enjoy a nice dinner and just talk to some other non-specialists about a drug. And it wasn't any random talk. They would give you the slide deck. So they're like, this is what you're gonna say. And unfortunately, a lot of people do that. And then you have things like these trials, the things that we depend on to make decisions, they're all run by the pharmaceutical companies, right? So it's like so let's take antidepressants as an example. So that antidepressants, you have to produce a study that shows that it works in order for the FDA to approve the drug, which is fine. That's the way science is. But the drug company, they underwrite all the studies. So the thing is that they get to choose which studies they publish and which they don't. So their strategy is to do, say, 40 studies, and 20 of them they'll just throw in the trash. And then they'll publish the other 20. Well, which do you think those 20 are? The 20 that look the best. There's one study, and the journal articles that publish these studies, they get a lot of money from pharmaceuticals. If you ever read studies, there's a huge list of conflicts of interest. So for example, in the sugar industry, what they found, for example, is that they took all the studies on sugar and they divided that into, the people that got money from the sugar industry, and virtually every study that the people who didn't get any money from the sugar industry found that sugar is not good for you. But there's a huge number of researchers who got money from the sugar industry who are like, yeah, it's sugar's not that bad for you. So, it's so corrupt. The whole thing is so corrupt. And it should never have been like that. It's the same for type 2 diabetes, where people just say, give the drug, give the drug, give the drug. It's like, well, what about the diet? Like, who's talking about the diet? Who's talking about how to lose weight? Because it's not the doctors. You can bet your life on that, because there's no money behind that.
And I've done some more homework to show you something very interesting. This is a short clip from a long documentary about LDN. I was actually researching LDN for my next project, and these doctors talk about amazing, miraculous benefits of LDN for so many different things, autism, autoimmune disease, and everything else that I will talk about in the near future. But this particular topic was about using LDN for autoimmune disease, and the doctor had many cases where his patients went into remission from very chronic and horrible autoimmune diseases, and all because of LDN. And when he approached his colleagues, other doctors, to write a paper, well, he's gonna tell you what happened next.
She becomes hypothyroid rest of her life. So I said, let's try it. What have we got to lose? I mean, at most, I just create a document, or what we call informed consent form, and say, there's not much known about LDN. However, there is some indication it may be useful for autoimmune diseases, and I hereby give permission to Dr. Kim, and to make long story short, she went to remission. And then some interesting things began to happen. And then that's about time I would read pretty much everything that I could find in journals about low-dose naltrexone. And what had happened is that I wanted to write a review paper, and I contacted several journals, and they said no. Not no, but hell no. This is not kind of thing that we want to publish.
So I hope you listened to these click fragments of those videos that I talked about, and I'm not sure if you see the bigger picture now, but I believe that it is really clear that doctors, not all of them obviously, some of them become corrupt. Why? Because it's money.
These billionaires stay caked up, paying up Congress, so we take their drugs.
You know, it used to start with just going to the doctor, pharmaceutical rep, here, I'm gonna pay you this much money if you talk about my drug and prescribe this. Now it's in a bigger level. Now they donate these enormous amounts of money, billions of dollars, to these medical schools, and these huge endowment funds now consist of nothing but bribery, in my opinion. And now think about it. Do you really think it makes sense for BigPharma to make this information public? Do you think that they wanted for everyone to know that vitamin C in large amounts could help with opiate withdrawal, could help with the skin conditions, could help you with cancer and everything else? Hell no, absolutely not. In fact, vitamin C does help with blood cancer. Watch the video on YouTube, Google it, vitamin C in blood cancer. You're gonna see what I'm talking about. Again, I'm not trying to do a gotcha. This video was not, oh, gotcha, I found corrupted doctors and this is it. No, I'm just saying that there is a reason why you don't know about vitamin C. There's a reason why your friends don't know about vitamin C megadosing. It's because this information is being kept a secret. And if everyone will find out about it, maybe they will not go get that Suboxone from the doc. Maybe they will not go and get methadone next day. Maybe they're gonna try to fix their life using traditional natural remedies such as vitamin C. Guys, I hope this video helped, and if it did, please give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. I really appreciate that. And if you want to share this video with your friends or family, please do that. I would love for you to really share this information with as many people as possible. Alright guys, have a great day. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Doctor had the blood from BigPharma. He said that he would heal